Welcome to the show. It is the Hit Selector. I am Crystal, and right about now, I'd like to welcome a very special guest to Celeb Select, Sam Kimera. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. They said Celeb Selector. I was like, I am.
But yes, you aren't you?
Okay, I'll go.
Well, welcome to the show. It's really good to have you.
Thank you so much.
How's the weekend going?
It's good.
Is it a relaxed one or a busy one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No. It's a bit relaxed, but just got one of those situations at home where you have like you lose someone, your maid loses someone, so they have to go away. So you have the baby. They're like, okay.
So everything is upside down.
Yeah.
Right about now.
Let's make this happen. But
okay.
yeah. But nothing dramatic.
Congratulations, though. You're a new dad.
Yes, I am. Mm-hmm. She's making, I think, like 7 months in like 2 weeks.
Okay. Yeah. Has she started sleeping a little bit longer, or the nights are still crazy?
Thankfully, yes. You have children, so you know how that goes.
Yeah. It's not easy.
Yeah, man.
Until you have one child, and then you forget about it. Then you have another, and you're like, what? How did I survive?
Well, do you get used to it?
No, not
you
really.
don't. It's like each different, because they say like you have one, you have another. It's similar experience. Does that help?
No, they're all different.
Sorry. So I guess
I wish I could help you with that, but
not
just
helping
steel
at
yourself
all.
for the future. Now, just take me back. Me back. Did you grow up in Uganda?
I did. Mm-hmm. Born and bred, man. Born and bred. Yeah.
Where?
School, everything. Yeah.
Where did you grow up?
Kampala.
Mm-hmm.
I was in Uganda Road when primary, then went to PG Bulova. That's as far as school goes. So Kampala, PG, Wakiso, Jinja, then back to Kampala for campus. So
okay. What did you do at university?
IT.
Uh-huh.
I did IT.
Okay. Are you still doing that as well as singing?
As work? No, I actually did not practice my IT. I finished and then joined Watoto Childcare Ministries doing as caregiving. I was working with children. Up to now, I'm still working with children. But I'm added responsibilities and stuff like that. But yeah, I never really practiced my IT.
That's actually quite rare. Most people who do IT, tend to seem to go down that route.
I think it was good for me though, because over time I think I've learned I think I'm better with people than with machines. I like machines, but I love people. So
was it your choice to do that course?
No, and yes, it's like one of those campus. I don't know. By the time we finish S6. You think you know what you want, but it's also subject to what they give you and things like that, and the availability of funding and things like. But you also, even if you had all the funding, you probably wouldn't really know what you want to do. Mm-hmm. But it worked out well for me because I still like IT. I like IT. It's not my first love or whatever, but I like IT.
So you still experiment here?
Yeah, I do. I use it in a very small scale, but yeah. It's good.
Okay. So you talked about like right after university, you started working with Watoto Ministries.
Yeah.
I have seen you with the kids when they're performing. How did that relationship start? Did it start like way back in the day when you were younger?
Well, yeah, I grew up in a Christian family and there's lots of singing. There was lots of singing. So also the functions, you probably, I don't think it's very rare. Every family has a bunch of singers. People just make noise or whatever.
Not every family.
Well, okay. I guess this is my experience. Mm-hmm. So that the singing, yes, and then I've grown up in church, so choirs and things like that, even in school, scripture union, choirs and things like that. So I'm a bit familiar with working in that setting.
Okay.
And what they needed was singers and ultimately caregivers, because it was our total tours, so you travel and have to care for the children and so on.
Well.
So that's how I was introduced into it, and I absolutely loved it and did it for 5 years. Then at the end of that, I was given the opportunity to stay with the office doing admin stuff and helping training still and practicing music and things like that. Yeah.
Okay, I'll just take you back to your family. You said you grew up in a family where there were a lot of singers. Were your parents like in the choir to begin with?
Man, they're just mob guys who sing. So choir or not, I don't know. Like everyone
like
sings.
Your siblings all sing?
Well, not all of them, but most of them. Can catch a tune, sing, and it's a fun thing that we do around like gatherings and stuff like that.
Oh,
so
that's really cool.
But I can't speak for as far as who went into choir and what. But I know my mom was in choir, like even Mothers Union, all those different things. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Were you in the choir from a young age?
Yes. it's because I'm thinking young ages like 12 onwards. That's secondary school. Yes, I was.
Okay,
It's part of
so
scripture.
were you at the front or you started at the
Crystal,
back?
Crystal,
What?
Crystal.
We
This
want
is
to get to
subjective.
understand.
No, believe it or not, I used to sing. Not right now. I speak and I sound like this, but I used to sing soprano. Like I was in a boys' school. I was in junior college, and the first time I went to, I was like, I can't even.
You were dodging that. Come on, give us more. Give us
No,
more.
it's like a soprano there, and but it was nice, because I'd kind of stopped singing when I was really a kid, and then just did other things.
You know, I would imagine that when you started singing soprano, it probably helps you even now, even though your voice deepened, that you can do a lot more with your range.
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Sometimes it's less like my new voice breaks, and that's
breaks
you're
and
stuck with
it's-
like, yeah,
You know,
man,
as a
how are
woman,
you?
it's very difficult to understand this business.
Yeah,
you
like,
know,
what?
you meet a guy today, he's like, hi, and then tomorrow he's like, hello. You're
Yeah,
like,
well,
"Hey."
it's worse if it's the other way around, where like, some guys' voices don't really break. So then you find this like mugged guy like this, and he's like, "Hello, Crystal, how are you?" And then you like, "Do I laugh? Do I?" Okay, it's awkward. That's rude to laugh, but like, why is he sounding like that? But that's his voice. I don't know.
Yes,
So.
it happens. Huh?
Yeah, so-
It happens. God made us all differently.
Yeah,
Beauty in
so-
the differences.
But it works. I just find if you use the voice you have, you're fine. Yeah, you don't need a even like wide range. Some people have, and I try to do that. But some people just have a small range, but they do amazing stuff with it. So.
Yeah, they have like this beautiful tone. And
Yes,
that's
and
all
that's
you
just
need.
that's it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm
So-
going to ask you for your first request right now.
Okay. My first request. There's a guy called Mali Music. He's from the States. A song called Heavy Love. I just love, especially the way it begins, like a boom, do doom, do doom, do doom. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a heavy love, and it was a creative way of talking about staying in relationships, and this heavy love referring to like looking at our parents. How did they stay married all this while? In like today, there's lots of breakups happening and things like that.
Yeah.
You get married 2 months later. This one went back home about what, sijui what. But the heavy love meaning like I want to live in a world where this and that, and we all have that heavy love, and we stay in relationships. We hang in there. We stay in there.
Heartache, heartbreak, pain, that's the only song we sing. That's the only thing life seems to bring, yeah. But tonight, we going to a place few speak of. Great grandmama and granddaddy love, yeah. Really good love.
So tell me, in terms of like, deciding to take the path of music, were you planning on that? Did you ever see yourself like growing up actually becoming a musician?
Quick answer, no, I wasn't. That's really the short answer. But then like much later on, again after campus and stuff like that, I guess from the discussions about that, I discovered like, hey, I think there's something of value that I can add.
This was on campus.
On campus, I was in an a cappella group
Okay.
with a couple of my friends, and just really just ministering, or if you will, singing in different venues, at events, at church events, at weddings, and so on and so forth. But
How many
af-
were you in that group?
we were five,
Okay.
bunch of five.
5 guys? Or?
Yeah, five guys.
What was it called?
It was called G3U, and if anyone remembers that name, you're old. You know? Just saying, man. Just saying.
Well, you're not that old. What are you trying to say? What
No,
did a 50-year-old
this is,
say?
I know, but this is like, we'll talk about age after this. But anyways, so like after campus and getting into work with Watoto again, we kind of went our separate ways, and everyone was doing this and that, and some of us were traveling a bit, and so that was never really a strong question to ask for me, because I was committed to what I'm doing, and that's what I'm doing.
Okay.
But when it came to an end, then I guess towards that's when I started thinking, okay, so maybe there is something that I have that I can give. And again, that's perhaps stronger sense of purpose.
Okay.
And yeah, and that's what I try to do through my music in terms of communicating through using music as a vehicle.
Okay, so when you started working with Watoto Ministries, you said it was important not only to be part of the the whole project, but also to be a child carer. You said a child carer.
Yes.
Okay. What prepared you for that? Did you grow up in like a big family where?
Yes, well, like 10 kids, man.
And your number?
Down at the bottom,
You're the baby.
so to speak. Yes.
You're the baby.
I am the baby.
Okay. So you grew up with a lot of siblings, a lot of kids around.
Older siblings, like the ranges are quite big, yeah.
Okay. And how long were you part of that project before you started pursuing like, your own, like your album and all
I'm
of that?
I'm actually still working at Potato Ministries, and it's just that I'm not. I can actually do this.
As
So
well.
because I'm not required to. It's not a requirement to be away for so long. So actually, I can.
Okay, that's really
Yeah,
cool that
so
you can.
so to speak, I have my 8 to 5, if you will, and then I do this over the weekend or like after work and stuff like that. So
Okay. Now, a little birdie told me that there's a story behind
a
Gwewan.
little birdie,
Yeah.
these little buddies. Okay, no, the story I've told the story before. The story behind Gwewan, which was the first single that I did.
Gwewan, nze wo. I've been searching high and low.
I wrote the song for our wedding. I was getting married. I wrote this song, my wife to be listened to it. She liked it, and I'm like,
So you were going to sing to her?
yes and no. I sang a different song during just after the vows, but then during the.
So you're that guy. You're that guy.
I'm that guy who uses what gifts I have for my woman. I'm that guy. I will be that guy.
That's nice.
Yeah. So I sang something different, but for this one, I actually went to there's a guy called Nelson at C19 Studios, and he let me do the song there. He did all the mastering and all that, and then we played it for our first dance.
Okay.
I mean, it wasn't like an announced thing, like, "Hey, this is the song, go la 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 la." It was just play the song like.
Was it a surprise to your wife?
It was.
Oh.
It was. It was.
Okay.
It was. Yeah.
All right.
It was a pleasant surprise.
A pleasant
I'm glad
surprise.
that worked out. Yeah.
And then someone is like, you know what? The rest of the world needs
Yeah.
to
Then a
enjoy
few
the
months
song.
later, that's when we're rolling out. Like, yeah, let's roll this out.
Okay.
And that's here we are.
Okay, so you asked for a Boys to Men song as your second request.
Yeah. There's an old song. I'm not even sure what album it's off from, but the story behind it. It's okay, what's it called? Girl in the Life magazine. And you were talking about sopranos and singing and stuff like that. But I remember I have a memory of this song with if I don't know if you used, of course you used cassette tapes.
Of course.
Like the kids today, like,
course.
what do you mean floppy disk
They're
cassette?
like,
what?
what's that?
What's the relationship between the cassette and the pen and a big pen? Like, So I had I think it was like an old Walkman, and I don't know who gave me batteries or whatever, but I borrowed this tape and listened and got stuck on that song. And I remember, like, this is electricity is out, whatever, but I'm in my blanket and I'm trying to listen to everything that the guy is singing because he had such a cool voice. Like, just anyway, I won't give it away. But
Okay.
yeah, so that's the memory behind this song, and I thought, hey, this would be a cool one to share.
I thought this is almost like a guy's version of a fairy tale.
Yeah,
You
and they
know?
did. I mean, at the time, especially back then, who wasn't listening to Boys to Men? Man, there's not many options. Even up to now, I don't think there's anyone who really
Who's
matches.
ever really,
like,
yeah.
And I guess you could say the Christian version after that was commissioned. If you're familiar with, they are awesome. But it's interesting how a song can kind of define a time in your life. So that would be that memory there.
Okay,
Yeah,
Girl in the Life magazine, Boys to Men.
I fell in love with the girl in the picture.
You told us about how you're that guy. When
I
you
think
were getting
everybody should be
married.
that guy.
Well, the funny thing is, I think in the world today, people are very scared of being vulnerable because that's a lot to do with vulnerability with that person you're taking.
Well, isn't that the point?
That's what it's supposed to- yes,
yeah,
it's-
like
but some
if
people
you're
are
going to be
scared of
vulnerable
that.
with somebody if it's your wife or husband, if you paint them something. If you sing something. If you can rap, like Ryonga should bust a rap for his wife, and he does. If you whatever, just,
I like that.
if you write
because-
poetry, just write. I mean, if you're going to write for someone poetry, it might as well be the person that you vow to spend forever with, right?
that you're committing to. I
Yeah.
think that's the problem. You said like a lot of relationships now aren't working. And I think it's because some people go into it like 1 foot in and 1 foot out.
Yeah, some insurance policy a bit.
Yeah. Those things. Those
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
So tell us about your wife. When did you meet?
Many years ago. The first time we met was our S4 VAC.
Okay.
I know, right? Again, a good place to meet people is church and fellowship, where you're not even thinking like any intimacy stuff. You're like, that's another girl in the room. Until like years and years later, I'm like, we dated different people, blah blah blah. But like years and
So
years
were
later,
you friends the whole
yeah,
time?
we're
Like, you
friends.
stayed
We're
in
like, hey, what?
touch?
Like, yeah, just good friends. I mean,
Okay.
after a while, there's like better friends, like you're calling more often, and thank God for UTL Kalango. You remember those days of like just after a certain hour, just talk for free, you know, like I couldn't have managed to pay that bill. But yeah, so after years and years, then you start to like, hey,
Okay. You suddenly kind of like see each other.
yeah, then you really see,
You zoom in on
like,
that
so
person.
then you want to talk like, hey, so how are you? And then you hope that works, and yeah, it did.
Okay. So how long did you date?
Too long, maybe. Maybe I think it was like, let me see, like 5 years. I think it was.
Okay, about 5 years.
About 5. But we knew each other for like backtrack to like 10 years or something, which really works for me because I think, and as far as I'm learning about marriage, and even I've just been married like 2 years, and I'm still learning a bunch of things. Of course, it's just it helps to marry your friend. Like just saying, like you're not, you didn't meet some random guy on Kampala Road and be like, oh, he's cool, he's buff, he has this kaluk, he has what, I can see the kids, I'm naming babies, you know, that sort of thing. Just get to know the person, so you're comfortable around them to just be you. If you have a funny laugh, that's maybe a not so funny laugh. You're just happy to be you around them,
That's very, very
and they
true.
let you. Then if you find that person, that's the one.
And
That's
also,
the one
you
should
need
think
like
through.
a foundation. You need a
Yeah.
foundation, something solid to stand
I've-
on when
and- yeah.
when times get rough.
Because you can always feel like we're friends. We work together. We agree on stuff. We can fight and not have to burn the house. You know, and I think that would be awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
I think
right.
if we saw a lot more of that, I think it would help relationships.
Now you sing a lot about relationships. That's
I
why
do,
I'm
I do.
going
I'm-
there
yeah.
because you sing a lot about
Yeah.
relationships, and there's a maturity about the way you know. If you listen to a
Thanks.
lot of the music today, there's a
Yeah.
lot, I saw her. I want that. Give it to me.
There's-
Or
there's-
Yeah.
I know. And it's just like, what? You want it already? Like, I don't
Like,
even
what
know
did you do?
Like, and then it's. I made an observation in. I'd like to think of myself as a thinker because I think a lot and try to put a lot of thought in. I think we all need to put a lot of thought into the stuff that we do. But I made an observation. There's particular points of relationships that most songs capture, and it's usually the meet the girl, boy meets girl scenario. I mean, if that's in a club or at a church, in a fellowship, whatever, it's usually that scenario, and then this place of sensuality and sexuality,
the initial excitement.
and no, I'm talking actually about sex, like the association of sex and like your body, my body, let's do this, that sort of thing. Then there's songs about the wedding, and then there's skip
all the
all the way to what's that Boyz II Men song? There's a song that they were famous for, the doing just fine, doing just getting along very well. Without you, I don't need you in my life. Ooh, like what happened to like to the moment from the moment
It's
of like
wonderful,
marriage to like
amazing, and then
like I
can't
don't
stand
care, I
you.
go, I don't, I hope you choke on your soup. Like what happened there, you know? And I think there's a lot to investigate. There's a lot of beauty in relationships. I'm a married person, and I always have a problem with like marrieds who just, you know, like sometimes we marrieds don't really paint a good picture of marriage. It just feels like you wait or jakuja. You will see. You have not been. You're like, but it should be pleasant. And there's a lot of moments that need to be captured. So that's what I try to do with my music. Like I wrote a song called Slow Down.
Be reading in between lines that don't exist at all. So slow down. 'Cause still the man who stole your heart.
And I'm trying to capture that before the, like in the middle of the fight, before you say the next words, before you walk out of the door, before like let's capture this moment and be wise about the next decision we make.
Okay.
Because I don't want to get to the other side. And I have one or two songs about the other side, but maybe we should, that. So those are the moments I try to capture, and I've the response that I'm getting is people resonate with that. I'm partly thinking because we don't have an abundance of that kind of music.
That message is
So
hard
when it
to
comes
find.
through, someone can feel like, yeah, that's what I wanted to say. That's what I wanted to tell you. That's what I wanted to blah blah blah. So I hope, I think it's working
that's
well.
nice. I really like that. I really like
Thanks.
that, because it's also reality, and people
Yeah.
want to focus on only the good moments and they want to leave the rocky
Yeah.
ones. Yet that's part and
Ye-
parcel of life. Everything in life is up and
exactly.
down. It's
Exactly.
job, family.
And
It's
that's
never
like
smooth
with
sailing.
your roommate. If you're going to live in a house with someone, that's not even married. If you're going to work with someone across the desk, I'm sure you and David are sometimes like,
sometimes they
swear,
almost kill each other.
we're just smiling in this video, but you wait and stop recording. That sort of thing. Eh? So I mean, it should be normal that we fight, but how we fight, like,
that matters.
yeah.
Okay. Now, your next song is actually one of your own.
yes.
Tell me about this song.
This is the last song that we released. It's called Up to Something. This now I've written like Gwewan and Slow Down and very love based, but this particular one was more drawn, and I write all my songs from my faith as a Christian, and that's my biblical view of the world. But I also wrote this one stronger in terms of faith. Different people go through different situations, and again, we don't hear enough music saying things like that. If I'm going through a difficult time, I need someone to remind me, it's okay. It may not make sense right now, but I need you to remember, keep walking. God is up to something. As humans, we understand from retrospect. So someday you're going to look back on these years or this month or this week, and you'll probably laugh or just realize something you hadn't seen before. Just
Yes,
keep walking.
yes.
God is up to something. So that means if you've just been fired, like, okay, it's happening. There's lessons to
rough
learn,
right
but it's
now.
rough right now. The boat is like rocking. There's a storm happening, but just hold on, steady. God is up to something. Fees is tight right now. You don't have the money for whatever. The relationship is hard. You're dealing with, to crazy situations like your fiance cheated on you, to I'm just praying for the next meal, for transport, whatever. Like, hold steady. God is up to something. God is not like, he didn't somehow make you and forget you.
Yeah.
And that's whether you're a sinner or a saint.
Yes.
Like, whether you're in a club somewhere banging, whether you're in a church service, whether you're at the altar, whatever, God is up to something.
He's
So
got
hold
you.
steady. He's got you. Exactly.
got
So
you.
that's what I was saying there.
So here it is, Up to Something.
Though I don't understand the path he may take, he's up to something. He's up to something. I may not comprehend his will and his way, but he's up to something.
The Hit Selector, it is on 88.2 Sanyo FM, and chatting right now with Kimera on Celeb Select. Now, you earlier talked about your wife and how you were together for 5 years, you've been married for 2 years, and you've been blessed with a baby girl.
Yes.
7 months old.
7 months. Coming to 7 months.
Being
Yeah.
a new father, have you learned some lessons in
I
life?
have learned you can never prepare enough. Honestly, nothing prepares you enough. But then maybe the general lesson I learned is that for anything significant, you can never be prepared. Anything very significant, you can never be prepared enough for marriage, for babies.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Were you in the labor room?
I was holding her hand, and they cut the baby out, and it was awesome. And
Okay.
she yelled, "Ah!" It's kind of like, "Get me out of here!"
Because, there's always that debate for fathers whether they should be there or they shouldn't be
Yeah,
there. And
the doctors, like 2 of them, were concerned for me. I think because they do this every day and they've had different experiences. Some men actually go in, but I don't know what that condition is where you get, I think, not nauseated, but you get woozy at the sight of blood. I don't know what that is called, but some fathers are like that. But then that can be messy
Some of
because
them
we
pass
have
out.
someone, you're passing out, but we're trying to focus on your wife. So just, can you take this drama outside? Just stay out there. So they kept telling me, just sit down or whatever. And So I don't know. That's a personal. I would encourage it, man. I would encourage it because there's nothing like it.
There's nothing
like it. You can't. Yeah, you can't trade that moment, man. The first moment the baby comes out, that's just awesome.
It's
so
beautiful.
But that's a decision you have to make based on your doctor's recommendation and how strong you feel about your wife or whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've been married for 2 years.
Yes.
You sing a lot about relationships.
I do. I think they're very important.
Okay. So do you see yourself, I mean, as much as you sing about relationships, you also sing about your faith. Do you
Yes.
feel that there's another scope that, that's not being covered right now, even in terms of relationships that, in terms of other artists, musicians, that they could fill?
I would.
You're a lot about the message,
Yes.
and also for a lot of musicians, motive is
Yeah.
very important. Some people just want to be a star, they want to be famous,
Yeah.
and then sometimes it's just about the story that you want to share, the message that you
Yeah.
want to get out there. What would your advice be? Because your motive clearly was not to come out and be a star.
I'm even like I'm not just saying this. I'm quite humbled that I'm here today because like this is Celeb Select. I'm like, the whole concept of Celeb is like, oh, okay, So yeah, I didn't come out with this whole like, I want to be famous. I think there's if you're going to be famous, like let's have it about something that's beneficial to someone else.
Okay.
I think so. I guess that's the philanthropy side of who I am and what I do. But it bothers me, like, say, like on the political side, it bothers me, like, you see all these reports about like corruption, like all this money that's not explained. You don't need to read much to just kind of realize, yeah, we are kind of sinking. Like I don't know, is it the leadership, is it the systems, is it the processes? Like we need that, and we need to encourage someone to rise, or we need to be the ones to do something, or at least either pray for the nation, or actually go out into the streets or in these offices and connect and
change the
and
narrative.
be the light that we want to see.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Okay, so you were talking about like what motivates you in terms of your journey in life. What have you learned? What would you like to share with people finding their own way? Because life, I mean, it's a tricky thing. It's a tricky thing. 1 second things are good, the next second there are dips and
as soon as you think you have it together, then it kind of like
can slap you nicely.
Yeah, it kind of like shows you a different side and left hook up. You're like, I didn't see that coming. I don't know, man. Except like this I guess now everything I do, I already said I do from who I am as a Christian, and that's my biblical point of view. I think there's great benefit from that. Like if you live for yourself, I think it's a pretty small world. If you live for yourself. I'm committed to my faith. I believe in Jesus, and that's what guides my actions.
I'll ask you for your last request, which is part of a project that you've been working on.
Yes.
The Collective UG.
Yes. Awesome. Absolutely excited about the work that we're doing. Collective UG, and there's a website for it, thecollectiveug.com. That's the website. What basically it is, a bunch of young, gifted, just creative, different, not necessarily just music, but just gifted differently. We have a passion for youth, and we strongly believe that there's a great future in our youth, and what we need to do is to push them towards discovering the best versions of who they are.
Okay.
And it's through worship, we do it through music, we go to schools, outreach. Every time we put together like 3 songs, we record.
Every school term, yes.
So 3 times a year we do like 3 songs, an instrumental and a quick sermon. We go to schools and just give out the music for free. Recently we did a song called Amen, and it's been really well received. I'm just like, what? All of us are like, did not see that coming. God, you're doing your thing, and it's just amazing. I think especially the fact that what I sense God is doing is that He's stirring up the hearts of many people towards doing something. We're not waiting for someone to come and do something.
something.
We are doing something.
Okay.
So if you want to start people towards destiny and things like that, you're saying that. That's your message. That's what you're praying into their lives. Those are the conversations you're having with them.
Wow, that's pretty
Yeah.
pretty powerful. Unfortunately, I have to let you go now.
Okay.
Thank you for joining
well,
us.
thank you so much for having me on the show.
Okay, well,
Thank you.
here it is, the song we've just talked about.
Yeah.
Amen from the collective UG.
Thanks. Thank you.
Let justice fill this nation.